What's up, everybody? Well, this is just going to be a hopefully quick video talking about music and what an awesome impression it is on my life and how much it's just, we take it for granted. Music is everywhere. It's just something that we all grew up with. It doesn't matter how old you are. We all grew up with music, and I'm ever grateful. I always I read these articles about before, we had recorded music, and the only way you could ever hear your favorite piece of music is if you went to an orchestra and actually heard a live orchestra perform a piece. And of course we had people playing, banjos and guitars and violins at home too, and people could jam. But once the electric music world took over, and I don't mean electronic music, I just mean electric guitar's amplification, the ability to create and record something. It revolutionized music and took the world by storm. But today we take it for granted. It's just, music. And hello, little helicopter. I have so many different tastes in music that it never ceases to amaze me how, if you're sitting at home and you're just not feeling motivated, I should say, if I'm sitting at home and I'm just feeling not motivated, and maybe it's quiet, or maybe the TV's going, or maybe something else is going on, and I just can't find the motivation to work. Let's say I want to get some things done around the house. The minute I put on music, it's like, all right, my whole demeanor changes. And this, of course, doesn't even include being at concerts and the actual live experience of shows, which is one of the most phenomenal things that I love in my life. But when I was at the show the other night, I bought an LP from the band, and even though I already had it at home in digital format, I had the MP3 and the FLAC file, I wanted the record. And to me, listening to LPs is the purest form of music. A while back I thought my needle was going out, and I took it off and I analyzed it under a microscope and found out it was just really dirty because it had been so long since I cleaned it. Because I have a nice needle on there, and they last for a long, long time. It's just having a crappy needle and a crappy stereo. It doesn't matter how good your vinyl is, you're not going to get the full sound unless everything in your stereo system is there. So a lot of people aren't into records because that requires buying needles and keeping the records clean, and the fact that you can't just flip from one song to another. To me, that's the advantage of vinyl. I have a pretty large collection of records, and on my main shelf above my record player I keep my very favorite limited albums, just 100 or so. And there's I have Appleseed Cast is one of my favorite bands, and they're really small, they're from Kansas, and I've always bought all their LPs as they come out, all their limited edition stuff, so I have tons of these beautiful colored vinyls with all these designs. And some of them, they'll do like a 3-side LP to fit the album, and then on the 4th side they'll do a nice etching, like a Fish album I bought. And there's something about being able to open up a gatefold cover and read along the lyrics to the song, and to see the pictures. When tapes came out, everything shrunk up. With CDs, it was about the same size, not much bigger, and nobody wants to flip through a little booklet. It's just not the same. To me, part of the advantage to having records is being able to put it on and just let it play, and to not have it go on random, to not have it, to not wonder what's going to play next, to learn to feel that album out from front to back. It's one of the things that I think is lost in today's world. We just have instant gratification, whatever song we want to hear, and putting on an LP forces us to take the time to flip the record, and to listen to the whole record. And it really does have a big impact, to me, compared to listening to, an MP3. But that's just me. Some people aren't that interested in music, and I know people who just don't listen to music at all. I've met people who just didn't understand why people are into music, and they found it annoying or distracting. And I feel like music is something it's not something that we either like or don't like. It's something I feel like everybody should like, because I feel like if you're not in touch with music, you're not in touch with nature, because music is our reflection of nature. The beat of the heart reflected in the drums, the tweet of the bird reflected in a guitar riff, and the feelings of man reflected in our lyrics. So, going on to the modern techno music, things like that, a lot of people are turned off by the fact that there are no lyrics and it's just electronic music. And I for a while, I always liked it, but there was only certain music I liked, and there still is. But I've understood now that it's about capturing the feeling behind the beats. In other words, we've had decades to build up music to the point where certain guitar riffs, certain drum beats, certain lines can bring us to a certain memory and a certain feeling. And this is where rap took this and used it as sampling. And sampling was frowned upon by the music industry. It's like, hey, you're taking a line from this song and you're stealing it. But in reality, it's using that same emotion to create a feeling, an experience, but it wasn't quite perfected. And now, instead of sampling, we're using very small samples which are at the same frequency and same tones as certain experiences that we've had. It's difficult to explain, but the music drives the crowd, and the crowd is the experience, rather than the crowd going to the concert to see the band as the experience. DJs, nobody's praising DJs like, oh, you're amazing for creating this. It's like, you did a great job putting it all together. It's phenomenal. We realized that the music was created through electronic means. It doesn't make it any lesser. In fact, some of these DJs spend a lot more time than the average musician because they're creating the whole thing themselves. And, that's why I fell in love with electronic music. But I guess I just wanted to talk about music for a minute. I still have a lot of my tapes. I grew up with, just at the tail end of records in the late 80s, and I bought a lot of tapes back then, and I still have a ton of them. And tapes are still a phenomenal way to hear an album. When I'm in certain states of mind, I put on Pink Floyd records, and I listen to older records like Atom Heart Mother, which is it's an album that, listening to it straight or sober, it's just, okay, it's interesting. But if I'm in a psychedelic mood, let's say, the album is just enthralling, it's phenomenal. So different music also relates to different states of mind, and when you're feeling angry, or when I'm feeling angry, I'll put on some heavy metal. Not to increase the anger, but to try to get out the emotion, And when I'm feeling really mellow and peaceful, maybe I'll put on Crosby, Stills and Nash. Who knows? There's a million different bands that I listen to, but it's all about picking the right music for the right time. And it's like having a free emotional cleansing available with the click of a button. Just a phenomenal thing. Music is awesome, I guess. That's all I have to say. Great stuff. I'd love to show my record collection someday. I've always wanted to, but then I have to pull them all out of the cases to show the vinyl itself. And when you do that, you're inviting dust, and it just makes a big mess. Most of them are, collectibles, and I don't really want to ruin that. But maybe one day I'll have a bigger house where I can actually have a room just for listening or music, where I can go in there and have it dust free and go through all my stuff. And music's awesome. I've talked to a few people who've never been to live concerts, and I just want to say, if you've never been to a concert, make the time. It's something that you cannot leave this life without experiencing. It doesn't even matter really if you like the music, because the energy is there. You'll learn to like the music sometime, but I've been to see bands that I probably wouldn't have even listened to unless I saw them live. It changed my whole perspective. So, and then there's some bands that I really love their albums, but live they absolutely suck. More than a few of those. So, anyway, got that out of my system. Have a great day, everybody.